Hi everybody. Well, today I'm going to wait because I wasn't sure if I was recording, but now I am, so hi everybody. Today we are going to talk about something in Avid known as keyframes, video keyframes specifically. And keyframes are used in a number of editing programs. After Effects uses them, Final Cut Pro uses them, and they're very useful when it comes to manipulating your effects. And so what a lot of people ask me is they want to make things move across the screen or animate or basically just change as an effect plays out. So we're going to start with these things called video keyframes today. And we're going to start with something simple. Have you ever watched a clip and the color in that clip changed? Either it went from black and white and slowly faded into color, or from color to black and white, or something along those lines. That's what we're going to work with today. So I'm going to start out by coming down here to my effect palette and getting my color effect. I'm going to drag and drop that onto my clip in the timeline. Now this clip is something from my war movie that I did last summer. And when we put our color effect on there, of course initially we don't see anything happen. So we open up our effect editor, and you're probably all familiar with this. You can go in, you can change the saturation if you want to. You can go in and change the brightness and contrast if you want to, and just sort of change the overall appearance of this particular clip. All right. But what if you want this to change while the clip plays? And that's where keyframes come in. So as long as I'm in the effect editor, I'm going to take my blue bar and I'm going to put it at the very beginning of this clip. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to hit this little pink triangle here. This is the Add Keyframe button. And if I click on that, it's going to create a little pink triangle right here at the beginning. And then I can come in here and make changes to my effect. So if I come in here and take my saturation and turn it all the way down, for example, to give us this black and white image. And then I can take my blue bar and I can move it to another point anywhere within this clip. I'm just going to take it all the way to the end, and I'm going to add another keyframe. So I've added a second point here. And I'm going to come to the editor and I'm going to make changes to it. I'm going to take the saturation back up to, well, let's just blow it all the way up to 100. By using keyframes, whenever I make changes to one, it does not affect the other. So in other words, just because I turned this one up does not mean that this one's turned up. In fact, if I click back on this, you'll see that we still have our black and white image. So this keyframe, if I look at my saturation, is -100. And then my keyframe at the end, if I look at my saturation, is all the way up to 100 because that's what I set it to. So if I put this at the beginning and play it, the effect is going to gradually change from a -100 saturation all the way through to roughly 0, or where we started, which is right there. And then the colors are going to boost all the way to the end where we're at a +100 saturation. Okay? So Avid sort of calculates for you the change in the saturation from point A to point B. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, what if we didn't want this change to happen across the whole clip? What if we wanted to happen at a very specific point? Well, that's easy enough. I can add as many keyframes as I want. So if I come to here and add a keyframe, I can set my saturation down to 0. Okay? This one is 0. This one is 0, so there's no change, so this whole section is going to be black and white. And then I can come in here a little bit, I can add another keyframe, and I can turn that one all the way up to +100. And then this one down at the end is already on +100, so there's not going to be any change here. But right here in the middle, the change is going to occur, and it's going to be much faster than it was in the first example. So as we play that, you'll see that it quickly fades into color. Okay? So there we go. We can make this effect change wherever we want. We can also move these keyframes. Now you can't just click on them and drag them because that's not going to work real well. But if you hold down the Option key, when you roll your mouse over it, it turns to a finger. Then we can click, and that allows us to move the keyframe around so we can fine-tune the timing of that keyframe so that the effect changes where we want it to. So there we are. Now, if we want to delete a keyframe, that's easy too. We can just click on the keyframe that we want so it highlights pink, and on the keyboard we hit our delete key, and that keyframe disappears. So now the change is occurring among the other 3 keyframes. So that's some basic keyframing using the color effect. And next, we're going to take a look at using Keyframe to do some artificial camera movements, almost some fake zooms. This is sometimes called the Ken Burns effect. So just to sort of demonstrate this, I'm actually going to erase this first clip from the timeline. I'm going to take that all out of there for you. And let's just come up here and grab a clip, maybe this shot right here, for example. And I'm going to make a freeze frame out of it. So I'm just going to go up to Clip, Freeze Frame. We'll do 5 seconds. Select my hard drive, say OK. And it's real quickly going to make me this 5-second freeze frame of this particular clip. Now we're going to use this to kind of simulate a still picture. So if you're working with something and you've got some graphics or images that you want to put into your timeline, maybe you're doing a picture show for Granny's 90th birthday party and you're going to show a bunch of pictures. Here's our picture. We're just going to take that and we are going to edit that into the timeline. So here it is. This is a freeze frame, just like a still image. And we want to make it so that this gradually gets bigger or smaller, depending on what you want to do. So if we come over here to our effect palette and get our 3D warp, we can drag that and drop that onto our clip. And again, just like the color effect, when we do it initially, nothing happens. But if we open up the effect editor, we've got all these things that we can control about it. So I'm going to go up to this one that says position, although you could also use scaling if you wanted to, but I'm going to use position. And the Z position is going to allow me to make this image bigger or smaller on the screen. Okay? A 0 position is where we started. So I'm going to put that, not 249, but back to 0 there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the very beginning of my clip and I'm going to add a keyframe. And I'm not going to do anything with that keyframe. That's mainly just a placeholder. I'm going to leave my Z position at 0. Then I'm going to click down here, come to the very end of my clip. I'm going to add another keyframe. And this time I'm going to take the Z, and I'm going to turn that up, maybe not quite that far, maybe right about there, maybe about 25. So if I click back at the beginning, it's on 0. At the end, it's on 25. And so as that clip plays from one to the other, we're going to create this nice little fake zoom as it appears that we did a camera zoom on it. If we want to make it zoom more, we just click on the back keyframe, turn that up a little bit more. I can also simply click in here and reposition this a little bit. There we go. So now as it plays, not only is it going to zoom in, it's going to change the position of the clip just a little bit. So that's one nice way to make fake zooms. If you decide that you wanted to go the other way, you wanted to slowly zoom out, you would need to reverse these keyframes. You can put the one at the beginning is the one that you would blow up and make bigger, and the one at the end is the one where you would leave that at 0. Now what's really cool about that, if you decide that you just want to reverse those, if you come down to the foreground option in your effect editor, you will see this one that says reverse animation. If you click on that, it will simply reverse these now. So now it lied to me. It didn't actually reverse the animation, so I'm going to have to cut that part out of the tutorial. That's what I get for trusting Avid.